what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it. Let's get into some of this Brian Kelly sound. And, you know, look. This is one of those times where nothing is ever going to, anything you say is going to just make people angry, right? Because you're already angry, right? But let's hear what he had to say anyway. Let's just start off the bat. Here's Kelly 1 on trying to change the outcomes.
Look, when you don't get the right outcomes, immediately it's going to be take this action, do this, bench that guy, fire that guy. It's much more about, for us, understanding that we have a process in place. We have to stick with our process. And then maybe are there things that you have to tweak within that? And that's how I've operated for over 34 years. I'm certainly going to feel the pain of our entire state when we're not successful. This is an important position and one where we've got a great following, so you can be assured that every ounce of our energy, every minute in the day is focused on how do we get the right outcomes.
So whether or not you believe it, there it is. Just go straight to Kelly 2 here. How did you feel about that Florida game after reviewing the film?
We missed some opportunities. Clearly, you have to score touchdowns. Kicking field goals is not enough. We're not scoring enough points. And we're giving up plays, explosive plays on defense. So there were a lot of positive things, 92 plays on offense and 42 minutes in possession time, 23 first downs. We have a system in place, but it's not turning to what's most important, and that is points at the end of the day. So, again, have to re-examine that. Was pleased that there was a much more balanced running attack. If you take out the negative plays, about 186 yards in rushing. That's more to my liking. We had a chance to get our hands on the ball a couple of times on defense, but it came down to a couple of explosive plays. I think it was 3 touchdowns and 11 total plays. So, we know where we have to address our issues there.
Jacob, can you help me out here? There's an answer where he's kind of talking about, well, if this and this didn't happen, it could be 9-1. Is that 6? Is that keeping the team motivated? I believe it may be. Let's play that. Here's Brian Kelly keeping this team motivated despite the 3-game losing streak.
I think we have it up here. Motivation. It's your job to motivate you. Our players understand it's their job to motivate, but as coaches, we also have to show them clearly the things that they've done well. Right? So they have to be motivated about the things they've done well. As I mentioned, take the Alabama game out of the mix. We had 3 games going late into the third quarter where we have a chance to win those games. Legitimate, not like pie in the sky. Well, I think we can win these games. These are games that we believed we could have won and should have won. Well, that puts you at 9-1. You're probably in the top 5 in the country. That team, I can stand here and say, we didn't get the job done. We didn't finish. But this football team is far from not believing that they can do the job and get the job done.
How do you feel about that?
That's just a slippery slope because you could say the same like about Ole Miss, about South Carolina.
South Carolina especially, more so than anyone. I get what he's getting at, right? He's trying to say that this team... He's trying to say
they've been in every game but one.
Yeah, so this team doesn't believe that they're bad, right? That they can believe that they're good, but those are words sometimes to the head coach. It's like you would rather not even have uttered out loud because it does sound a bit like excuse making. Now, are we like overanalyzing and really nitpicking? Yeah, absolutely. But that's kind of what we do, right? We do a 3-hour show every single day that's almost entirely about this one football team during this portion of the year. But I just don't. I don't know. I because like also we talked about like the Dennis Allen era of the Saints. Yeah, they actually outscored their opponents over the entire era. They were in every single game, right? But what do bad teams do? They find ways to blow it when they're in the games, right? And that would reflect back on the process that Kelly has installed, and maybe having to tweak that process and figure out how to fix it.
When we talk about tweaking the process, it's about what's important right now for these next 2 weeks, 12 days. What's important right now? And maybe shift their focus a little bit more on some of the things that will help us close out games. That's how we'll move forward today.
You got to find out how to, when you have the moment, take advantage of the moment. There was moments in this Florida game. There was certainly moments in the A&M game. There was moments in the USC game that go back to USC. You had the lead. You didn't close it out. He talked about that openly after that game. Texas A&M, you're up 17-7. You've got the momentum. You're about to make people leave the stadium, right? And they make a change. They gain the momentum. You don't close that out. Even in this Florida game, like you had moments, like you had chances. You had to settle for field. What is going on with this microphone?
You don't take advantage of any of them.
You kick field. Like that's probably like for me, like if I had to point to one thing outside of not being able to run the football that's disappointing, is settling for field goals and not touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my most disappointing part of the LSU offense is part and parcel with the red zone struggles, which is I hate how you feel when you have 3rd and 3 or less. You just feel like you don't have a chance of getting, which LSU's actually been pretty good on 3rd down this year, so statistics probably been untrue, but I'm just talking about how, like, think about how you feel when it's 3rd and 1. You don't have a lot of confidence. That's also why you struggle in the red zone, right? Teams that can run the ball generally are the ones that are going to be most successful in the red zone. Like, you look at a team like South Carolina right now, how are they finishing these drives touchdowns? Because they have a quarterback in Lenore Sellers that you have to account for him. Oh, can we just run Q power and he's a giant and he'll run over everybody, get in the end zone? Or here's a pop pass. Or, we're making it look like a QB sweep. Oh, we got somebody leaking out in the back, right? Like, LSU doesn't have that ability to run the ball, and so that's and I think that's why you're settling.
You're 7th in the country in 3rd down rate.
No, I know you're good. That's what I'm saying.
Weird.
No, statistically, you are been good on 3rd down, but I'm saying search your feelings on how you feel when it's 3rd and 1.
No, I know what you're saying, but it's just wild. Like, if you would have said LSU is going to be 50% on 3rd down coming into the year, would you think we're even having this conversation?
But again, it even goes back to last game. I mean, statistically, you had a box score that
you should never lose.
Yeah, you should never lose, and you found a way to lose by 11. Here is Coach Kelly was asked about the play calling structure because of him now having the play sheet in hand. This is Kelly 9.
Joe Sloan will call the plays. They'll certainly be on my headset. And look, like any head coach, he's going to be involved in the ultimate decision of whether that's a go or a no-go. Now, as you know, communication has broadened. That communication includes the quarterback as well. So it can't be this long, conversation about, this play, that play, or it becomes confusing to what he's hearing in his ear because the head coach is on that and the play caller, both on defense and offense. So there's only 3 of us that have that with the green dot. The key here is the ability to make sure that the game is going in the manner that I want it to go in. At times, you have to take that action as a head coach. Not that somebody's being put in the penalty box, but making sure it goes to the vision that I have for that particular game.
A little more context, Jake, before I pick your brain on this. Here is Kelly 10 asked about. Actually, it has a question in, so go ahead and play it.
So Garrett can hear you too?
Yes, yeah. I can override that. I choose not to. But it's something that you can do if you wanted to as the head coach.
So Nuss can hear him too, is all the second part of that was.
Right.
Jake, so this is interesting to me because this is something that Les Miles always got a lot of flack for. And I would say pretty legitimately.
I would run it here.
Yeah, exactly right. Was the passive aggressive, like if it
you
was
would literally
me,
say that?
Yeah,
Like,
I'd be like, if it was me, I might do, I might do this
I
here.
run 48 horn boss.
And so the OC's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's what we're running then. Yeah. Now, Brian Kelly's more of an offensive guy, I would say, than Coach Miles was in his background. I mean, offense is what Brian Kelly cut his teeth on. He sits in the quarterback's meetings. But what does it do if you're Sloan as the play caller? How does that work if all of a sudden you go to make a call and the coach's like, that's not – like, is this a conversation you're having before the drive? Or do you think that's happening, like, in between a play?
I don't think it's happening – well, I don't think it's happening in between plays because LSU gets on the ball pretty quick.
Yeah.
They get lined up pretty quick. I don't imagine that conversation can be taking place during the series. I do think it's probably beforehand. I mean, like even on the radio call, like I'm trying to jump in and react to the play that I just saw, and we don't have time. Blair's having to reset the formation, of what LSU's trying to get done. And so I don't think, just from my experience of being on the call and trying to get information out there, I don't think it's during the actual series, but certainly, like you just heard him there, I think it's in between, or maybe the leading up into getting on the field, or if there is a small timeout on the field. Yeah, I think that those conversations are taking place.
He even referenced the penalty box. Is Joe Sloan right now in the penalty box? Like how? Like what is that? How does Joe Sloan pull out of that basically? Because to me, if Kelly continues to do this and it continues to not pay dividends, then it just feels like the situation's getting messier and worse.
I don't know that, and I think there's been some things certainly throughout this season that you could point to as highlights. So we talked about the third down stuff. I think if I had a chance to go to the press conference, which we don't, we're both on air again. I think I would want to know who's coming up with the game plan on the ground. Like that's a question I would like to ask, because you do have a quarterback coach and a receiver coach that are co-offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
Who's coming up with the ground game? Like, what does that plan look like on a Sunday night leading into a Monday team meeting? Like, what is the process? Who all does that go through? Like, that would be one of my questions, because they did run it much better. I did see things that fell out of the tendencies that they had for a long time in the run game. But still, like,
it is a bad Florida defense too, is what I keep going back.
Well,
and you still ran it better.
But Alabama's was bad.
Yeah. That's true. You still
and
ran
you didn't
it
run it at all.
Yeah.
I would just like to know that, like, short yardage situations, like who's the lead on that? Because that's really where you've struggled. And, I'm not sure what that process is or who it goes through.
Jesse in the chat, when someone tells you you're not in the penalty box, you're in the penalty box. Yeah, absolutely true. So one thing that we've seen disappear, we mentioned the flattening of the LSU pass game. Here's Kelly 16. How do you find success in that intermediate pass game once again?
No, I think teams have decided here's how we want to play you. And, we have to be able to push the ball vertically. And that's really what we're addressing and making sure that we do everything in our practice to connect on those. I think you saw 3 balls that were thrown down the field. All 3 we missed on. In some fashion. Those balls need to be completed. We need to push the ball because we have defenders that are sitting on all of our routes and making it more difficult than it was earlier in the year.
Yeah, straight up. And you can feel that. You can see that. Obviously, somebody that would be key in breaking that remains Chris Hilton. Last one here. Here's for Kelly 14. He was asked about Hilton kind of mistiming those jumps and some of the interaction on the sideline.
Well, you want to do that in practice, and we've had conversations in practice about using your speed and continue to keep your feet on the ground. Look, Chris desperately wants to make plays for us, and he's in that mindset, and I think it's much more about letting the game come to you, and part of that is he's been out so long, and he wants to make an impact. So this is really about a guy that's anxious and wants to make plays and really has to let the game come to him. Matter of fact, that was the conversation we had on the sideline, and understanding that these are the things that we talked about in practice and they're still showing up in the game. Let the game come to you. And he clearly understood that.
Here's to hoping that they can get it going. I mean, Jake, now granted, something like the Aaron Anderson touchdown, that's a long play, but in terms of just like a get vertical, beat the defense touchdown, is that Kyle Parker against UCLA the only one?
It's the only one I got.
It's the only one I can think of, like off the top of my head.
If there's another, it's not in our mindset right now.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.